Hi everyone. So we are starting with the next session on the compilers, and it's on abstract translation scheme for assignment statements. I repeat, it's an abstract translation scheme for an assignment statement. So here E is an expression. So what are the different expressions that I have supported? Plus, multiply, unary minus, open bracket E close bracket, and id. So E can boil down to following particular reductions. Similarly, this A is an assignment statement. It depicts an assignment statement wherein whatever is the value of E, I assign it back to id. Whatever is the value of E, I assign it back to id. Okay, so this is a now let's start with the abstract translation scheme for the above assignment statement. So this is basically a grammar for an assignment statement where E is an expression that can be E plus E, E plus E, E multiplied by E, minus of E, open bracket E, close bracket, and id. So E can boil down to any of these expressions, and whatever is the output of the expression that I assign back to id. id is an identifier, and A depicts the assignment statement. So let's start with the abstract translation scheme for the above grammar. So what do we mean by this dot code? Okay, so in the below mentioned table, I'm referring to A dot code, I'm referring to E dot code. What do we mean by that? E dot code is nothing but a sequence of three address statements evaluating the expression. I repeat, E dot code is a sequence of three address statements evaluating the expression. E dot place is the name that will be holding the value of the expression. I repeat, E dot place is the name that will be holding the value of the expression. Okay. Now A dot code is a three address code to execute the assignment statement. I repeat, A dot code is a three address code to execute the assignment statement. Now what is id dot place? There is also id dot place. id dot place denotes the name corresponding to this instance of token id. I repeat, id dot place denotes the name corresponding to this instance of token id. I have also used one function called new temp. What does it mean? New temp is a function to create new temporary names which returns an appropriate name. New temp is a function to create new temporary names which returns an appropriate name. Okay, so now let's go through the semantic action involved with each of the productions here. Okay, so for this assignment statement, when we say I have an assignment statement, what exactly happens internally? Whatever is the value of E that gets assigned to id. Whatever is the value of E that gets assigned to id. But in order to get the value for this E, first the three address code which will generate the value for this E needs to be executed. Right? Only when the three address code generating a value for this E will be executed, I'll be getting value for E. That's why first E dot code is called. So E dot code is a sequence of three address statements which will evaluate the expression E. It will get the value for E first. It will evaluate the expression E. After that, I am assigning E dot place to id dot place. E dot place is a name that will hold the value of the expression. What is id dot place? id dot place denotes the name corresponding to this instance of token id. So first I evaluate expression E, then whatever is the value of E that I assign to ID, and this is the 3 address code for A. Okay. For the next production, E gives E1 plus E2. Very first step that I do is I create a temporary name because I want to evaluate this particular expression. Okay, so I create a new temporary name, save it into T, and then T assign it to E dot place. So I create a new temporary name and I assign that T to E dot place. Now first I have to evaluate E1, then I have to evaluate E2, then addition of this I have to assign it to E dot place, right? So let's do that. First we evaluate E1 by calling E1 dot code, then I evaluate E2 by calling E2 dot code, then E1 dot place plus E2 dot place, I add them up and put that value in E dot place, left hand side. Simple. Can you all explain me now this multiplication sign? Again I called a new temp function which will create a new name for us, assign that new name to E dot place, then evaluate E1 dot code, evaluate E2 dot code. Now I have values for E1 dot place and E2 dot place, right? After these are executed. So take the value from E1 dot place, multiply it with E2 dot place and assign the value back to E dot place. Simple. In case of unary minus, again we create a new temporary, assign that to E dot place. I evaluate this code. So E1 dot code is the first that I need to call. And whatever is the value of E1 dot place, apply minus sign to it and save it into E dot place. Apply minus sign to E1 dot place and save it into E dot place. Simple. Now this is a bracketed expression. Whatever is the value of E1 dot place, I assign it to E dot place. And whatever is the value of E1 dot code, I assign it to E dot code. Okay. Now for E gives identifier, whatever is ID dot place, the actual value, I assign it to E dot place. There is no expression involved here. That's why E dot code is null. There is no code involved, right? It's a identifier only. So whatever is ID dot place, the actual value, I assign it to E dot place. And since there is no expression involved here, there is no code to be executed. That's why E dot code is null. Clear? So now that we have an abstract translation scheme here, on the next slide I have to y'all the concrete translation scheme. Now this is a concrete translation scheme for the same grammar. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 productions, and for all these 6 productions I have the concrete translation scheme for you. So in concrete translation scheme, E dot code and A dot code in the previous example do not have to be attached to a parse tree, which is fortunate as it could be quite time consuming if we had to repeatedly copy sequence of 3 address statements by abstract translation scheme. Okay. Similarly, E dot place and ID dot place can be represented by symbol table pointers directly. And these pointers can be stored on the parsing stack of bottom-up parser along with their respective grammar symbols. So the important point to mention here in concrete translation scheme is we shall use a procedure called gen. We shall use a procedure called gen to emit the 3 address statement. So it will generate the 3 address statement. So gen will generate the 3 address statement. Okay. So here in concrete way of translation of the assignment statements, we remove the assignments to A dot code and E dot code from each rule in the abstract translation scheme and replace them by calls to gen. I repeat, we remove the assignments which were done to A dot code and E dot code in the abstract translation scheme with the calls to gen. Gen will emit or generate the 3 address code. Okay. So what was the first statement here? First statement was this, and this was the semantic action associated with it. We were doing assignment to a dot code. So that has been removed now with calling gen. So in gen, what I do is whatever is e dot place, I assign it to id dot place. For this expression, whatever is e dot place, I assign it to id dot place. Okay. What is 2? E1 plus E2 have to be assigned to E. So gen E1 dot place, you add it to E2 dot place, assign it to E dot place. In third production, I multiply E and 7 it to E, right? So E1 dot place, you multiply with E2 dot place and save it into E dot place. In the next is unary. I apply unary sign to the expression on the right and I save it into left. So E1 dot place, you apply minus sign and save it into E dot place. And over here, I directly assign values of E1 to E and ID to E. So there are no computations involved here. Okay. Now here I will show you all a trace of a syntax directed translation. Okay. So this is a sample expression that is given to us. A is equal to minus of B into C plus D. Okay. So I place A on the stack. So when I say I place A on the stack, A is actually an identifier, right? So on the stack, I just place the categories. Now please remember, this A is not same as this A. These are the grammars, okay? And these here are considered as terminals, just for explaining you all, okay? So suppose I have this expression, A is equal to minus of B into C plus D. Can you all tell me in which order it's going to be executed? First minus of B will be executed because unary minus have highest precedence. Then the bracket will be executed. So C plus D will be executed next. Then multiplication will be executed and finally the final result will be saved into A. Right? First unary minus is highest priority. So minus of B will be executed first. Then C plus D will be executed because it is bracketed. Then minus of B and the result of C plus D will be multiplied with each other. The final result will be saved in A. Correct? So in the same order, the 3 address code have to be generated. So let's see whether it generates the 3 address code in proper way. Okay. So this is the input expression. So first is A. So I place A on the stack. But since A is just a symbol, internally it's an identifier. Right? So I place identifier on the stack and in the place value I place a. What is a place? Place is the actual value. So A is the actual value of the identifier, which is exactly same as this A. This A is an actual value of the identifier ID, which is exactly same as this A. Okay. So I have placed A on the stack, which is as good as placing identifier on the stack, and in the place column I have written it that the value of this identifier is A. Clear? Then equal to is the next sign. I place equal to on the stack. Since equal to does not have a value associated with it, I have placed underscore in place of equal to. Next I place minus sign on the stack. Again minus sign do not have a value associated with it. So I place a underscore as a placeholder in place of minus sign. So equal to and minus sign, these are the two characters which were placed on the stack, but both of them didn't have a value associated with it. That's why I have put 2 underscores here. Okay. Next is I place B on the stack, but B is actually an identifier. So I have placed identifier here and the value of that identifier, which is B, I have placed it in the place column. Then I am replacing ID with E using that following rule. I am replacing ID with E. So I am replacing ID with E. So this remains unchanged. The next is unary minus is having a highest precedence. That's why it has to be executed first. So minus of E gets reduced to E using this production. Minus of E gets reduced to E. So minus of E gets reduced to E. So that's why this is the generated code. T1 is equal to minus of B. Okay. T1 is a temporary memory location where minus of B is executed. So minus of B is executed. Okay. So this underscore was placeholder for minus, and this is B, right? So minus of B I assign it to T1. So I delete the two placeholders. One is for minus sign and one is for B, and I replace both of them with T1 because minus of B is T1. So minus was placeholder by this underscore, right? Minus of B I replace it with T1. Okay. So there were four different characters here, right? A, underscore, underscore and B. Since minus of B was equal to T1, in place of these two characters I wrote T1. Clear? Then I place asterisk on the stack. Since asterisks don't have a value associated with it, I place a underscore in place of asterisk. Then I place open bracket on the stack. Again, open bracket does not have a value, so underscore in place of it. Then I place C on the stack. C internally is an identifier. So at the value of the respective place I place a C. I place identifier, and in the value column I place C. Then before placing plus, okay, I reduce this ID with E, because there is a production of the form E gives E plus E. There is no production of the form E gives ID plus E. There is a production of the form E gives E plus E, and it is not of the form E gives ID plus E, right? That's why I'm reducing ID to E first, so that I can use the production. That's why I'm reducing ID to E first, so that going ahead I can use that production E gives E plus E. Okay, that's why I reduce ID to E first. Then I place plus sign on the stack. Since plus sign don't have a value, place underscore at its respective place. Then I place D on the stack. Since D is internally an identifier, I write ID here and D here. Then I reduce ID to E. Then I reduce E plus E to E. Why do I execute this first? Because at the start only I decided the order in which it will be executed, right? First unary minus will be executed, then bracketed expression will be evaluated, then the result of both of them will be multiplied, and then it will be saved in A. So minus of B we have already done. So next stuff to be executed is C plus D bracketed. Okay, that's why E plus E is evaluated to E, which is actually C plus D. I am saving it into temporary T2. So in place of C plus D I am writing T2 here. Okay, so then you place that value, then you place the close bracket on the stack. Since close bracket does not have a value, I place an underscore here. Okay, so now the next statement to be evaluated is bracketed. Open bracket E close bracket, I am reducing it to E using this production. Open bracket E close bracket, I am reducing it to E. So open bracket close E close bracket, I am reducing it to E. So this is a placeholder for open bracket, T2 is E, and this is a placeholder for close bracket. So in place of these three characters, place T2. Okay. Next is I am multiplying E1 with E and replacing it with E. So T1 is multiplied with T2 and replaced with T3. So this was a placeholder for asterisk, right? So T1 into T2, I save it into T3. That's why T1 into T2, I remove it from value column and I write T3 there. Finally, E is saved into ID, which is production A. So this T3 is saved into this first equal to sign. This underscore sign was in placeholder for equal to. So T3 I am assigning to A. So what am I doing here? A is a production whose right hand side is ID equal to E. So ID equal to E, I am reducing it to A. So ID equal to E, I am reducing it to A. Simple. And these are the three symbols. Okay, ID is equal to E, I am reducing it to A. Okay. So here I am replacing ID equal to E with A. So this is a placeholder for id, this is a placeholder for equal to, this is a placeholder for e. I am replacing this with a and assigning t3 to a. So this is the 3 address code that is generated for this expression. First I do minus of b, then I add c plus d, I multiply result of minus of b with c plus d and save it into a. That's it. Now this is an assignment statement example for mixed types. Mixed type meaning if I am doing e plus e and if e is integer and second e is a real, then I have to convert integer to real, right? And then only perform the operation. So if the operands of the operators are of mixed type, then how to handle them? So this is a semantic rule for E1 operator E2. Okay, so first I create a new temporary and save it into T. Then I check what is the mode of E1, whether it is integer or a real. So if the mode of E1 is integer and mode of E2 is an integer, then I need to do E1 dot place, that is the value of E1 integer operation E2 dot place and assign it to T. So gen will generate a 3 address statement, right? Gen emits 3 address statement. So E1 dot place will get the value of E1, E2 dot place will get value of E2. I am doing integer operation and I am assigning it to T, and E dot mode, that is the mode of the target E is integer. Else if mode of E1 is real and mode of E2 is real, that means both the operands are real. In that case, generate E1 dot place real operation E2 dot place. Now I am performing real operation between these two because both of them are real, and save it into T. Okay, and mode of E is real because both of them are real and I am performing real operation. Else if E1's mode is real, if E1's mode is real and E2's mode, if E1's mode is integer, and that means the very moment that I have reached here, see if E1 dot mode is integer, then obviously E2's mode is real here, because if E2's mode was also integer, this would have been satisfied. Clear? If E1's mode is integer and if E2's mode also was integer, then this would have satisfied. The very moment that I reached here with E1's mode integer, that means E2's mode was real. Only then I will reach here. Correct? So if E1 dot mode is integer and E2 dot mode is real, then I have to convert this integer to real. So create a new temporary variable u, and in that you convert E1 to real. So into real I am doing. So I am converting the value of E1 to real, saving it into u, and then I am performing relational operation between u, okay, and E2 dot place. Now E2 dot place I am using directly because its mode is already real. Clear? So first you create a temporary variable and you convert this integer E1 into real, and then you perform real operation between converted integer of E1 and E2. E2 is real already, and assign mode of the final answer as real. Last case, when E1's mode is real and E2's mode is integer. This is the last use case pending, right? Here both are integer, both are real. Here E1 is integer, E2 is real. So here E2 is integer, E1 is real. Last combination. In that I have to convert E2 from integer to real. So create a temp, convert E2 from integer to real, perform real operation between E1 dot place and u, and finally mode of E becomes real here. Finally, whatever is the value of T, that you assign it to E dot place. Whatever is the value of T, assign it to E dot place. Simple. So next is the Boolean expressions. Okay. So Boolean expressions, everyone know, are made up of 3. Okay. Or, and not. Okay. So in case of Boolean, there are 3 operators: or, and not. In these 3, or and are left associative. Or and are left associative, and the highest precedence is not followed by and followed by or. I repeat, highest precedence is not followed by and followed by or. So in this example that I have here, A is less than B is equivalent to if A is less than B then 1 else 0. A is less than B relational operation is equivalent to if A is less than B then 1 else 0. So this is translated into following 3 address code. If A is less than B, go to 4, and in 4 I am assigning 1 to temporary variable. If A is less than B, I am saying go to 4, and in 4th step I am assigning 1 to temporary variable. Otherwise you assign 0 to temporary variable, and after I assign 0 to temporary variable, go to 5. That is, go to next statement after 4. Clear? So I have converted this if else statement into a 3 address code in this way. If A is less than B, okay, then 1, right? So if A is less than B, go to 4. Okay, and in 4 I am assigning 1 to temporary variable. Otherwise you assign 0 to temporary variable. If A is not less than B, that means 0, right? So if A is not less than B, assign 0 to temporary variable, and after doing that go to 5, go to 1 level after 4. Okay, there is one more example I have here on my screen. If A is less than B or C, this will be translated into if A is less than B, go to 4, and in 4 I am assigning value 1 to temporary variable. Otherwise you assign 0 to temporary variable. After assign 0 to temporary, go to 5, that is, go to one statement after you assign 1 to T, right? And now T1 already has a value 1 or 0 based on condition of A and B, right? Based on whether A less than B is success or not, T1 will either have a 1 or a 0. And over here I do T1, which is answer to this relational operation, or C, and put it into T2. Done. So first is exact copy of 1 to 4 steps, because A is less than B was converted into these 4 steps. So that's why first 4 steps over here are exact copy of this, because A is less than B, always you all will be converting in this way. So additional step that I did was T1 is the answer of A is less than B. I did a OR with C and I assigned it to T2. Simple. Now these are the semantic rules for Boolean expression. Suppose I have E1 or E2 and assign it to E. How am I executing it? I create a new temporary T. I assign that T to E dot place. Then I am generating a 3 address code wherein I take E1 dot place and I OR it with E2 dot place. I take E1 dot place, I OR it with E2 dot place and assign it to T. Correct? And what about this? Suppose there is a relational operation, ID1 relational operation, ID2. Do you all have an example of a relational operation on this screen? Here, ID1 relational operator, ID2. So how are we writing code for this? Create a new temporary variable T. We need a new temporary variable, right? I have used T1 here. So create a new temp T, assign T to E dot place. Then what are we doing? If A is less than B, go to 4. And this is statement number 1, right? If A is less than B, go to 4. So if ID1 dot place, this is ID1, right? If ID1 dot place relational operator ID2 dot place, then you go to next chord plus 3. This is 1. So I am increment it. You are saying the next chord is pointing to this statement, right? Next chord plus 3, because 1 plus 3 is 4. The next statement is to assign 0 to the temporary variable. I am assigning 0 to temporary. What is the next statement? Go to 5. So it is 3 plus 2 is 5. So go to next chord plus 2. So 3 plus 2 was 5. That's why go to next chord of plus 2. And finally assign 1 to temporary. Done. This is very simple. Just correlate this with the example. What am I doing? We create a temporary variable, assign it to E, then gen, meaning generate. if id1 dot place relational operator id2 dot place, in that case go to of, this is 1, so 1 plus 3 will give you 4, that's why go to of next chord plus 3, because 1 plus 3 will give you 4, that's why next chord plus 3. Next statement assign 0 to temporary. Next statement go to 5, so 3 plus 2 is 5, that's why go to next chord plus 2. Next statement says t is equal to 1, done. Now this is control flow representation of the Boolean expression. Okay, so I'll explain to you all the first one. If E is success, then you execute S1, else you execute S2. So this is the code for E. Okay, so if E is success, then you are supposed to execute S1. So that's why I mentioned through here. So if E is success, go to S1, and if E is false, go to S2. And after you execute the success condition of S1, I have to skip S2. Correct? Because when E is success, I execute only S1, and if E is failure, I only execute S2. Right? If E is success, I only execute S1. That's why I have to move out by skipping S2. If E is success, I execute only S1, and if E is failure, I only execute S2. The same thing I am doing here. If E is success, I only execute S1 and then I come out. If E is failure, I directly go to S2 and then I come out. Correct? If E is success, I execute S1 and I come out. If E is failure, I directly go to S2 and then I come out. Clear? What about this? While E is through, keep on doing S. So while E is through, keep on executing S. So E is the code here. Okay. If E is through, you execute S. Okay. Again you check for the condition. If E is through, you again execute S. You keep on executing. Only if it is not success, I am coming out, which is false. Okay. So these are the control flow representation of Boolean expression. So remaining concepts I'll be covering up in my next session on compilers. Thank you.